A 10:4-6. On February 7, 2024, proper notice was sent to the Courier News and the Star Ledger and filed with the clerk at the Township of Bridgewater and posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Please be aware of the planning board policy for public hearings. No new applications will be heard after 9:30 p.m. and no new testimony will be taken after 10 p.m. Hearing assistance is available upon request. Accommodation will be made for individuals with a disability pursuant to the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, provided the individual with the disability provides 48 hours advance notice to the Planning Department Secretary before the public meeting. However, if the individual should require special equipment or services, such as a cart transcriber, 7 days advance notice excluding weekends and holidays may be necessary. All rise to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll start to swear Juliana in.
Hi, Juliana. Could you raise your right hand? And then just repeat after me. I, state your name,
Juliana Coelho,
do swear or affirm
do swear and affirm
that I will carry out the duties
that I will carry out the duties
of mayor's designee
of mayor's designee
to the planning board
to the planning board
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy, can we have a roll call, please? Here.
Here.
Here. All right. If anyone, I just want to announce this quick in case anybody is here for the Leonard Gerardo application or the Hula Haas application. Leonard Gerardo will be carried to July 16th without further notice. And the Hula Haas application has been carried to October 15th. Further notice will be provided. So at this time, if there are any members of the public wishing to address the board on any land use matter other than any application that will be heard tonight on tonight's agenda, may do so at this time. Right, hearing none, we'll move on to board minutes. There are 3 pending minutes from April 16th, May 7th, and May 21st that are being tabled to following meeting. Move to resolutions. Is anyone here from Galleria Construction?
Well, there's no resolutions. We're
Oh.
moving on to
Oh,
the
excellent.
applications.
Sorry. Is there anyone here for the applicant, Galleria Construction? So yes. Thank you. If you want to come up.
Good evening. I am Pat Cirillo, representing Galleria Construction. We were here for an approval back in September of '23, and our 190 days to file the minor subdivision deed expired on March 13th. We had been diligently pursuing getting approvals for our stormwater management and the form of deed and the meets and bounds legal descriptions for the new lots, but for whatever reason, the engineers couldn't connect between Mr. Burr and our engineer, and by the time we actually got the approvals from everybody, by the time I was able to record the deed, it was after the deadline of March 13th. So we're here tonight to ask for an extension of time so that I can re-record the minor subdivision deed. It's already been approved by resolution, the minor subdivision, but unfortunately, the deed did not get recorded until maybe a month later than our deadline. So I submitted a letter just going through the chronology of what happened from the time of the resolution, each month until we actually were able to get the approvals to get it recorded. And it just didn't happen until about a month after the deadline. So we're just asking, and I have already prepared the amended minor subdivision deed, and Mr. Peck and I have already gone over it, and it's been approved. And the meets and bounds descriptions are the same, so there's nothing changing other than I'm going to have to give it back to you and attach the new resolution if you grant us the extension, because we need to attach the resolution to the deed. I was going to record that with the deed.
So, and we'll relate this, if the board's so inclined, we'd relate the extension back to the date of your approval?
Yes,
Start from when it, would have lapsed, that's when we'll start this up.
yeah, so March 13th, 2024 would have been the lapse date, or the last date to record.
It'll be 1 year from the 13th.
Yes, yeah.
Mr. Cora, I have comments for Gilbert.
Great. Do you want to read?
Just, he has no objection to the one-year extension. He did approve the deed sometime in late April, and they had, I guess, a resubmission of the compliance binder, which is under review. So no objection to the extension.
Thank you. Do I want to open it up to the board for questions?
Unless they have anything more that they would.
No, that's all I have. Thank you.
Be appropriate to the board, and then if there's any public here.
Right. I'll open up to the board for questions. No? Okay. Would any member of the public like to come up? Before you get started, can you please state your name and address?
Sure. My name is Subramanian Kalaivan. It's spelled as Subramananian. Last name is Kalaivan, Kalaivan. And I live at 26 Levon Court, Bridgewater. And I need to check a few things. I was here for the last hearing, which they talked about when they had approval, and we went through the different problems we had. Recently I don't know, I didn't see any of these people, but someone else, maybe their builder, he came up with a drawing and he was walking around my property and doing that. And when this approval was done last time, there was a request to put a fence on my side of the property. And I'm not sure if it is in the drawing. I asked him. He did say there's no fence on this. It says it's a work fence, but there was a request and it was approved in September to put a fence on my side of the property, because the house they're trying to build on the Levon Court is entirely facing to my property line, and they don't have direct access from the front of the house to the road. So I had requested so that people don't walk through my property from the new house they're going to build on Levon Court through my property. So I had requested to put a fence on my property.
Sorry, that's 26 Levon Court, L-E-V-A-N?
Yes.
Okay, well, any representation or condition from the earlier approval will be carried over with this.
Yeah, but I want to make sure that it's there on the approval.
I'm making a note, and we'll
Okay.
get that, a reaffirmation of that.
Right, I need to reaffirm that. Yes, that's the reason I'm here, for one of the reasons.
And I can also address that. It was a condition of the subdivision approval.
Right.
And in the deed that I'm recording, we have language that Mr. Peck recommended, required, that says that we must, in the recorded deed itself, this minor subdivision is subject to all of the conditions as set forth in the minor subdivision resolution entitled Memorializing Resolution of the Planning Board. So every condition that was approved, which included your fence.
Yeah, because I talked to the person who came in with the drawing, and I asked him, he said there's nothing like that. He said, we'll put a temporary work fence. I wasn't asking for a work fence. I wanted a permanent fence.
Yeah,
So that's why I was
privacy
confused,
fence.
because I didn't see the owner or anyone. It was somebody new, and they said they are going to build it. I don't know if there's the engineer or someone who came to look at it.
To confirm, you said it was a privacy fence, right?
Yeah.
Right, it's a privacy fence, right? That's what he wanted.
Mr. Peck, I had just done resolution compliance for the application, and I wasn't present for the approval for the actual application and the hearing.
But condition 6 says that during construction, the applicant shall install temporary fencing to prevent workers and other visitors from
That's not
accessing
temporary
adjacent.
fence, that's wrong. That was
Well, I just want to make it clear in case there is confusion, and maybe we can clarify it tonight, is that, and so that the member from the public and that the applicant are all on the same page. It says temporary in the resolution. If that's incorrect, and it needs to be rectified, I just want to make sure that the applicant's not making promises based on the resolution to the applicant tonight who has a different idea of what is supposed to happen in the future. So if he walks away tonight thinking he's getting a fence, but the resolution only says temporary fence, and the applicant says, so what? We have to rectify that.
Yes, condition 6 does say during construction, the applicant shall install temporary fencing to prevent workers and other visitors from accessing adjacent. I think during the testimony, the problem was he felt people were trespassing on his property, and they would need to
Right, it's-
trespass to build on
It's-
this property. And so I think that's why we said we will have during construction the fencing to prevent workers and other visitors from accessing from his lot.
Okay.
That's what it was. It's not a
So I didn't ask for a temporary fence because that's going to be an ongoing issue because any vendor who comes and delivers a food or anybody, they're going to walk through my property. Because the entire front of the house they're constructing is not have direct access to the road. They have to walk through my property to get
I
access
remember
to the road.
talking about
We
it.
talked about it. And what's the point in putting a temporary fence? I didn't ask for a temporary fence. Why should I come here standing asking for a temporary fence? I want a permanent fence to be put in between the side.
Can we look anywhere else?
I don't know how the word got misinterpreted there. I didn't ask for a temporary fence. I did ask for a permanent fence there.
If there are minutes from the meeting, we might ask that the applicant look at those minutes. Again, I wasn't present for the approval, so I don't know what was represented. What made it into the resolution, the final approval document, says temporary fence, so,
Which was reviewed at the time, you know, when this was fresh in everyone's memory, you know, by the board, its professionals, and the applicant.
and it's presented at a hearing, at the, following hearing for adoption, so I don't know if you had a chance to come to that
No,
meeting.
I didn't follow. I did come to the final meeting when it was approved.
No, afterwards, when the resolution is drafted and then approved by the board, so I didn't know if you had a chance.
No, I didn't come out to follow. I didn't know that there's
So,
a,
under the statement of facts in the resolution, paragraph 7, said the public was given the opportunity to question Mr. Hajar, that's our engineer, on his testimony. A member of the public from 2611 Court, that's you, 26, expressed concerns with construction workers entering his property, as well as potential issues with parking on the street. And then the board professionals engaged in a discussion regarding the proposed parking for the site, and Mr. Hajar confirms parking is permitted on the roadway. The applicant agreed to install a fence to prevent visitors from walking.
yeah.
on
So who's the
26
visitor?
property.
It's the future visitors coming to the house as well, right? It can be a delivery guy coming over to deliver a food. He's going to walk across my property to get to the house. Because the driveway they have, that's on the other side, which is on the side where they're trying to build. The entire front of the house is touching my property. And there are 2 blocks to that.
Well, that would
The
be
permanent block.
trespassing, and
Yeah.
obviously,
I don't want to fight with them for
no,
that.
no, I understand,
Yeah.
that's why we're gonna put that fence.
Well, all we can do again is, you know, if they get their extension, we'll put in that it's subject to, you know, continuation of any representation or condition from the original approval, and we'll check the minutes, see if somehow that got past everybody. And if there's a recording of the meeting, you know, you're welcome to watch that, and if you see something where a permanent fence was agreed to, you know, you can come back and.
Because I did raise the question because when they started coming to visit this, maybe himself and his son, they were walking around, right? I raised that concern, and I also said it's going to be an ongoing problem with anybody coming in to visit the house and people walking into the house, they're going to walk through my property, so I asked for a permanent fence. But I'm not sure how it got misinterpreted as a temporary work fence. I'm not interested in work fence.
Can you reread the last sentence that you had said at the very end?
So under the statement of facts before the resolution number 7, the last sentence, the board professionals engaged in a discussion regarding the proposed parking for the site, You want me to read the last sentence of paragraph 7? Or
Yeah, you,
The last one that you read.
The one okay. I think there were only
Is the
two
applicant.
sentences.
paragraph 7, I
Public
think.
was given the opportunity to question Mr. Hajar on his testimony. A member of the public from 2611 Court expressed concerns with construction workers entering his property, as well as potential issues with parking on the street. The board professionals engaged in a discussion regarding the proposed parking for the site, and Mr. Hajar confirmed parking is permitted on the roadway. The applicant agreed to installing a fence to prevent visitors from walking on the 2611 Court property.
So who are the visitors, right?
Right, so what are the plans for installing a fence there?
Whatever was submitted on the plans that got approved. So that's in the statement of facts as to what the discussions were, but then when you get to the resolution, after the discussions, the resolution said we would do the temporary fence to keep people off his property from trespassing during construction. We'd have to look at the transcript to see his exact testimony, but I know we had a discussion between the professionals about that to try to address his concern as well as other members of the public concern. The biggest one was the drainage issues, but that was, your biggest concern was
Water
parking on the
problem.
street, because they would be parking in front of your house, as I recall, and you didn't want that. And that people would be trespassing, and there's no way to
Yeah.
get to this lot to do building without trespassing on your property.
Right.
I know that was your concern.
Yeah, it's not just construction alone, it's anybody coming in future to the property to visit them, or a delivery guy coming to deliver food to their house. They're
I
going to,
remember discussing.
yeah, I did discuss
I
about
remember
that.
something.
Then what's the point in asking for a temporary fence? If something got, I think something got misinterpreted here. I don't know how it got, because I don't know the procedures of what get transcribed in your notes, but something is misinterpreted here. Because I asked for a permanent fence.
Mr. Peck,
Follow up with on
I
the
think,
minutes.
again, that we phrased in the resolution that any extension is subject to, representations and conditions of record, and we just try to figure out, get to the bottom of what that was. I'm trying to look up the minutes on my phone right now, but that's all we can do, sir.
We can look it up. So their application, the condition of approval was to go with the bullet points that we had discussed and they had approved on in that meeting. So the best that we can do is review the minutes,
So
ensure that they're held to what was stated in that last meeting as a condition of approval.
so that can be changed in case if something was,
If the record shows that the discussion in the minutes show a privacy fence, then it would be changed.
okay, where do I verify that after this hearing?
Sorry, I couldn't
How
hear.
do I confirm that it's checked and it's in place? Do I need to follow up with somebody?
How would he know if it's changed?
Whether the verification has been done and it's corrected or what I asked for.
Well, if that was in the record, again, subject to, it's subject to any representations they made on the record. So, all we can do is look at the minutes if he wants to, I don't know if there's a recording that still exists.
There should be.
And you can, welcome to listen to that, and if you hear that,
He's looking up the minutes.
yeah, the minutes really don't deviate much from the resolution. In that part.
Where
So you'd
can
have to listen to the tape.
So does he do that through you? Through the clerk's office? So you can sit.
Yeah, because now the minutes and the resolution, more importantly, all lend themselves to the interpretation that it's just a temporary construction fence that's required. But if you listen to the audio from that meeting of July 18 of last year, and you hear that there was actually discussion of, no, it should have been a permanent fence, certainly bring that to our attention. And that's something that we would enforce because they're going to be bound by representations they made on the record.
Okay. So is this something that I need to verify? Is the RS Township going to check on that first?
You want to go to the website and request a recording of,
Okay.
Yeah, I
I
think
would request that first.
Okay. All right.
that's the way to go.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any other members of the public wish to come up? Okay. Now we move to vote, right?
We could deliberation
Have a
and vote. yeah.
Okay.
And again, what's being considered here is a one-year extension of their minor subdivision approval, which would relate back to July 18 of 2020. Or no, it relates back to they had to have their deed recorded by, I was mixing up the site plan, by March 13th of 24. So it'll relate, the 1 year would relate back to that date.
So we go to March 13, 2025.
Correct.
Correct. Got it. So I'll open up for deliberations.
I think as long as it's contingent upon all the items that we have discussed, which I believe Mr. Peck has mentioned a few times.
Yes, thank you.
I have no objection to the extension.
I have no objection.
No objection.
Only thing I want to reiterate, just as long as it adheres to all of the conditions of approval as well.
Yes.
All right, with that said, can I get a motion to approve the extension of the minor subdivision until March 13th, 2025?
I'll make that motion.
Great, that's
Second.
great, thank you. Mr. Magora, Ms. Quayla, did I say that?
No.
What?
Hello?
Quayla. Thank you.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you.
Right. Is anyone here for the applicant, the SEMA applicant? Great. Come on up.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening.
How are you? Warren Fink, I'm an attorney I'm here for Mr. Sermonaro on behalf of the applicant, SEMA LLC. So this is a matter that, it was a 4-lot subdivision approved in June of 2023, which means the 190 days ran out on December 20 of last year. Even though the applicant, similar to the last case, even though the applicant has diligently pursued being able to file the map to create the subdivision, there were several complications. First of all, there have been several requests for changes by the state of New Jersey with respect to the TWA sewer line extension from the NJDEP, and each time that happens, that's a several-month delay. Also, the Somerset County Planning Board requested some changes which have been submitted, and the client is waiting for approval. And then there was also a little delay because my client's engineer, Mr. Castrud, closed his practice and is now working for Warren Township full-time. So my client had to change engineers. So we're asking for a 1-year extension from the December 20 date of 23 through to December 20, 2024.
And again, this would be subject to any conditions or representations made in connection with the original approval.
Thank you. Do you have any notes here as well?
I did not, but Ms. Sarmed may have comments. She and
I have no real comments. I basically summarized what the applicant's attorney just brought up about, some of the delays in getting it to resolution compliance. And I think I just summarized what the MLUL states as far as the, ability of this board to grant an extension.
Knowing that we just received these today, is there anything that we should review?
The plans, you mean?
The
The memo.
correct,
Oh,
yes.
I had actually, I think I had prepared this memo back in May when this initially was supposed to be on, and it just never got distributed because it was carried so many times.
Got it.
But there's nothing of, serious substance in there. It's really just a review of, what an extension of time includes and what the applicant, summarizing what the applicant had put together in their letter.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
And the statute explicitly takes delays in getting permits that are outside the applicant's control as a reason to give an entitlement to an extension. You can't guarantee how long it's going to take DEP to do anything,
Understand that. I'll open it up to the board for questions.
I just have one comment on your drawing over here. You're still showing Scarlett Doyle as our planner. We've since changed that to Catherine. Might want to change the drawing.
Okay, Anatol? Okay, the applicant will do so. Thank you.
Mr. Harwich? Are there any members of the public that wish to come up? Come on up. You come on up. If you could just state your name and address, please.
Yeah, Donna Wydell, 1573 Washington Valley Road, Bridgewater, New Jersey. Two things. I've only received one notice regarding this, and that was in April of this year. Never received any of the previous notices, so I called to say, why are some people getting them and some people not? And I found out that it's because you use tax maps for notification, and the tax map is Martinsville, my address is Bridgewater. So my mail doesn't get to me. Also, the proof of service, it says, you've got the receipts here. Do you have the cards? Did anybody sign for anything? Because you don't have anything from last year.
Well, my client handled it, but by law, you don't have to have cards back. You only need to submit the white receipts.
Okay, well, I don't see any white receipts recently, from last year at least, but, okay. For the last year's meeting where the resolution was approved, so I had no say at that time.
So notice doesn't go out for a meeting where a resolution gets approved. Notice will go out for the initial hearing,
Okay,
and then if it gets carried thereafter, an announcement will be made at that hearing and say, okay, this hearing's carried to such and such date. No further notice will be given.
Okay.
So I know, they issue notice for this extension request. They issue notice for their initial application. That's the only notice that was required to be published and mailed.
I've never received anything for this meeting, I just,
And
Again,
also, it's just, they're entitled to rely on the list that's obtained from the tax
yeah,
assessor, and
yeah.
it matched up.
I need to address that with the state, because the tax address is not the same as my mailing address, so I don't get it if it's mailed to Martinsville.
Well, that's something you should take up then with the tax assessor.
That's, yeah,
Ms.
exactly.
Probst?
Thank you. Right, like you can see on the thing too, that someone crossed off 08836 and changed it to 08807 for myself, my neighbor behind me, and a few other people. Yeah, it's like a crapshoot if it gets mailed to Martinsville.
I can imagine how annoying that must be.
Yeah, but I'm not here to complain about that. I have questions about the property itself, if that's okay. I know it's been approved, but you're gonna, I guess, have to resubmit with the county, or because of the DEP, are you gonna have to resubmit plans, or?
Excuse me, you want my client to be
Oh, yeah, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to give in the course of this hearing will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Good. Could you state and spell your name for the record, please?
Anatol Shiminsak, A-N-A-T-O-L, last name S-I-E, M-I-E,
Are they going to have to resubmit the plans after the DEP and the Somerset County questions, or are they going to stay as they are? Do you know?
Basically, I would have to comply with all the requirements of the board and also other agencies. Sewer extension has to be filed, get approval from Bridgewater Township as well as the sewage authority. Now it's within the state and the DEP jurisdiction, and it's already like 5 months. And
Yeah, I know how that works.
we have to stick with all the plans and all the requirements of the professional of the board.
So my main concern is if anything major changes with the designs. My property, you're on that side of Long Road, right? So Long Road runs here. You're here, uphill from me. I'm on the other side of Long Road, on the corner. So what your construction is, your construction is uphill from me, and I have a well right there. So is there any contingencies for testing my well before they start construction, during construction?
Not unless, like, the DEP mandates that as a condition of their permit. And as far as, like, resubmitting plans, you know, they'll have to submit final plans to the township, to the engineering department for their review, but they won't be coming back to the board.
Okay. So how do I address that then? Because so literally the property is uphill from me, and you know how the water runs down Long Road and runs off Long Road, and it runs into my property, which is fine, but if they're going to start digging up, I mean, there was things going on up there. It's been empty for years and years and years. It was a cornfield, and, you know, pesticides and whatever. My concern is if they start digging it up, what's going to be running downhill into my well? And then what happens if my well is condemned?
Well, I would just say that I wasn't the primary attorney, though I was present. Mr. Sermonaro was handling it, and my client was here. I'm sure some of the board members are here. And these issues, drainage was a primary topic at the hearing. And I assume the professionals were satisfied and the board was satisfied.
Yeah, and DEP isn't in the habit of making things easier on developers.
Yeah.
You know, just as a general rule, but yeah, it's, you know, all these concerns, you know, drainage and runoff is one of the primary concerns of this board, certainly over the past few years. It's the kind of the major topic that's put to applicants, so.
Well, I think her question's more about contamination, not actual stormwater management, but if runoff was to include, you know, pollutants into her well water.
As a result of the digging.
As a result of digging up, you know, things that are in the ground right now but haven't been touched, basically been preserved. Did you raise any of these concerns at the board hearing?
I was never invited.
Oh, but you never had the
I never got notice.
chance. That makes it difficult.
Sure does.
That makes it difficult. If there was anything in the resolution that supported, you know, a prior well testing or, you know, post-well testing, I'd say we could move with that, but if we have nothing in the record, then.
Mr. Fink wishes to speak.
Yeah, I would just also add that my client points out to me, and I remember now that he mentions it, that the testimony by the professionals was that the drainage downhill will actually be reduced by this project as opposed to being increased.
Right, and I've read that. But the problem is that you're disturbing the ground and you're putting basements, right? So what's going to happen if you're digging stuff up that's been buried for 40 years? I've been there 30 years. And it was a cornfield for years and years with Mr. Dorsey until he got too old and died. So, you know.
Was the applicant, let me ask a question of the applicant. Do you know if there was any phase one or any environmental cleanup required as part of the site?
It has had environmental cleanup because somebody was dumping there.
It has had environmental cleanup?
Mhm.
I assume in that case, if it's ever been on record as an active or previously active site, that the DEP would require some sort of continued monitoring of that. And then any kind of off-site contamination is usually, located to that site. So what I'd recommend, because you don't have anything in the record, nothing stipulated that the applicant has to do anything, especially if you do test your well annually, keep those reports, those annual reports, and do a post-construction well test to check to see if anything changes with your well. And then I'd contact the DEP if you have any real concerns about new, if there's any particulates or anything in your well test. And then DEP will, certainly handle anything.
Do I need to follow up? I mean, I can send you the documentation when they were forced to clean up that site. I have it.
It's all public record, actually, through the DEP data miner. So I'll actually take a look at it as well, and just see. It might be, if it's closed out or if no monitoring is, required, then that's that. But if they're not allowed to do certain things associated with that, I'm sure the DEP is going to keep an eye on that as they're working through their TWA permits. But like I said, if it's closed out and you have any real concerns, do your annual well testing or, biannual well testing, and then do a post, check for yourself, and then submit any documentation to NJDEP if there was, a serious concern with it.
Okay.
Thank you. And have you reviewed the minutes? Because you can do, we just spoke about requesting.
From that initial meeting, what was the date of that initial meeting? I don't even know. I think it was like March of '23.
It was March 28th, 2023, and it was memorialized June 13th, 2023. So the minutes would be for March 28th.
In case it's reviewed in there.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Are there any other members of the public? No. Okay. So, anything from our professionals that would like to add?
I have nothing else to add. No.
Okay, I will open it up for deliberations with the board. Would you like to go first?
I have no problems with extending.
Great.
I have no objection to the extension.
Okay. Chartowich?
I have no objections to the extension.
No objections.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to extend the SEMA application, or the SEMA, you say application? Approval through December 28th, 2024.
28th or 20th?
20.
20.
20?
Sorry.
Yeah.
20th.
I'll make that motion.
Thank
I'll
you.
second that.
That's Ms. Chartowich, Mr. Chowdhury.
Benga.
Oh, sorry, Benga. I don't know why I said that. Mr. Benga. Been a long day.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Ms. Probst, what's on the agenda coming up? All right, what's on the agenda coming up?
To make quorum, even with the addition of another appointment. Still being worked out, but the purpose of that meeting, there's no application scheduled, would relate to the master plan, which requires special notice, which we would not be able to make at this point anyway. So I think it's safe to say that the July 2nd meeting will be canceled, but you'll receive, we'll announce that formally and publish that. The 16th of July is the Gerardo continuance and likely a master plan consistency review. We have nothing yet for August. And I have no conforming applications that I'm aware of that I'll be scheduling for the planning board. Everything's zoning board right now.
Got it, thank you. So the 16th could likely be a master plan review and the Gerardo application
Yes,
continuation.
correct.
There, this is executive session.
Nothing for me.
All right, well, thank you.
I just had one one question. So I believe that we're hiring, or maybe we're getting some assistance to take a look at the, I guess, like the Ethicon, the old Ethicon site, and then there's a couple of other, how does that kind of come to the planning board?
So those are preliminary investigation reports that are being done by Michael Sullivan with Clark Kane Hints. So he's the redevelopment planner for the township. A redevelopment study is done as a report. He'll make a presentation to this board with the findings of that report. There's certain statutory criteria that a site has to meet in order to be declared an area in need of redevelopment. His recommendations will be based on the local redevelopment and housing law with those, some sort of criteria that it's meeting or not meeting, and make a recommendation to this board to declare it or to approve it, and basically recommend it to the council to then declare it and approve it as a area in need of redevelopment. And then that's just an investigation on the site. If it qualifies under those criteria, it still has any additional steps that would be a redevelopment plan, would be a whole, then another report, another process beyond that.
So if it gets changed from, like, let's say, a commercial zone to residential or something, would that have to be approved by the planning with regards to the master plan, or?
So that's completely separate. That's the redevelopment plan portion. The site investigation right now would literally just be, does it qualify under redevelopment so we can move forward with a redevelopment plan? And then a redevelopment plan is, I like to see it as like a mini zoning ordinance. It's done, but that has to get approved by ordinance by the council. So the board usually will get a review of that redevelopment plan, determine if they have any comments for the council, and then the council has to do first and second reading on an ordinance to adopt that redevelopment plan.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Or anything else? All right, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Benga, this time.
I'll second.
Ms. Chartowich. I'll just say, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Well, we haven't had a quick one like that in a while.
Very nice to meet you guys. I know you guys on paper, but not.
Yeah, thanks for sitting in.
No problem.
Helped us get this done quick and
Oh, so
not
late,
drag it to something else.
so late. And there's,
I'm from